Nikon announced that they would buy Red Camera in March 2024. They completed the acquisition in April 2024, and now in February 2025, less than 1 year later, they are already releasing their first cameras made in collaboration with Red, and I'm going to tell you all about them and give you all the details in this video, so please subscribe if you want to see more videos about filmmaking in the future. Now, if you asked me to predict what sort of camera Red and Nikon would create together, of course, the easiest answer would be a Z-mount Red camera, because up until this point, Red's flagship cameras primarily used Canon's RF mount. You know, Canon, one of Nikon's biggest competitors, so of course Nikon would want to have a camera available that uses their proprietary lens mount. But come on, slapping a Z-mount on a Red camera feels pretty obvious and easy to do, right? So what else could they improve, especially very quickly in less than a year? Well, my biggest hope that I wanted to see sooner rather than later would be improved camera autofocus performance, where Red could take some of the autofocus technology that Nikon has been dramatically improving in recent years with their newer Z9, Z8, and Z6 III cameras, and then apply that to Red cameras, giving them dramatically better autofocus. Thankfully, in less than a year, it looks like Nikon and Red have done exactly what I was hoping for, and then some, because Red and Nikon have now announced that they will be selling Z-mount versions of their v-raptor and komodo-x cameras. Plus, if you already have one of those cameras with a different lens mount, you'll be able to send them in and have it swapped to a Nikon Z-mount as well. And in addition, remember, I said that this was more of an upgrade than Red just changing the lens mount and calling it a day. I want you to remember that because Nikon acquired Red, and they are now a part of Nikon, this really is the first time in Red's history as a camera company where they have the ability to use a camera lens mount that they have full and complete control and collaboration with a company on. Let me explain. With earlier Red cameras like the Komodo and Raptor that use Canon's RF mount, yes, Red was granted access to use Canon's proprietary lens mount and the electronic controls that they would need to adjust the lens aperture, enable optical image stabilization, and use autofocus. But to me, as well as other filmmakers, it always felt kind of like Canon was doing the bare minimum with this deal. Sure, all those features for the lenses worked, but it didn't really feel like much collaboration was happening between Red and Canon. It was more like Canon said, sure, you can pay us and use the lens mount, but we aren't going to give you access to all of the deepest level of integration between our lenses and your camera, because you're a third party, Red. You aren't Canon. And while we will make money from you, we also have our own line of cinema cameras that we're trying to sell, so we're not going to give you everything. We're going to hold some stuff back. With Nikon now, though, things are different. Red is now a part of Nikon, so there's nothing being held back between these two companies. They are sharing all aspects of their technology with each other, and that is super exciting. And here we are, less than a year after these companies have merged, and we're already seeing some really big benefits with these new Z-mount Red cameras. So, do you want to hear about the upgrades? Let's talk about the upgrades. To start, Red said that Nikon gave them access to tweak all of the lens software that works between their camera and the lens. Most new Nikon lenses these days have a programmable control ring on them that you can customize to do things like controlling the aperture of the lens. And thanks to Red having full access to the lens software now, they were able to go in and heavily tweak how the control ring feels whenever you use it to adjust the aperture of a lens, with Red telling me that these Nikon lenses now have a very smooth feeling clickless aperture adjustment that makes it almost feel like you're adjusting a manual cinema lens aperture, but it's electronic. There's no jump in exposure as the aperture changes. It's just a smooth transition, and it feels really good. Access to this lens software has also enabled Red cameras to have full f-stop control in 0.1 increments. So you don't have to switch from f2.0 to f2.2. No, you can have f2.1 if you want to. You have way more control with these Nikon lenses and a Red camera thanks to this integration. Heck, most new Nikon lenses also come with programmable buttons on them, and the Red camera software can now talk with the Nikon lens software, and you can customize these programmable buttons extensively, really making the lens feel like an extension of the entire Red camera interface. Oh, and I should also let you know that Nikon announced a new lens today, but not just any lens, their first cinema lens, a 28-135 f4 power zoom lens that supports a matte box and is geared for follow focus, as well as including all the interface features that we just talked about with RED cameras. And this is really cool to see. It's also a really great looking lens with this super cool looking yellow metal ring on it that looks really distinct, and I hope they release a lot more lenses that look like this because it looks super cool. In addition, we need to talk autofocus because that was my other big wish that we would see from the joining of Nikon and RED, and I'm happy to say that the autofocus performance of these new RED cameras is going to be noticeably better, faster, and more accurate overall, with RED being able to learn from Nikon and tweak their autofocus algorithms to make a significant improvement to the autofocus overall. And here's what's crazy too. Because these new Nikon mount RED cameras are still using the same old hardware autofocus system that their Canon RF lens mount system cameras are using, all of these autofocus improvements that we've been talking about have been to the software, meaning that RED is not going to be gatekeeping this improved autofocus performance to only the Nikon Z mount cameras. No, the Canon RF mount RED cameras are also going to gain access to this improved autofocus performance as well in a firmware update. So Nikon is not leaving RED filmmakers that bought Canon RF cameras out in the cold. They're giving them access to whatever software they can that is supported by the camera. To be clear, that stuff that we talked about earlier, like the super cool control ring customization and button customization, etc., may not be possible with the RF mount cameras due to Canon not working as closely with RED as Nikon is, but I'm still happy to see RED cameras continuing to improve across the board. The main thing that I want you to keep in mind with the announcement of these new RED cameras is that this is not a complete collaboration between RED and Nikon. This is not a camera that RED and Nikon have built together from the ground up using all of their corporate synergies and other fancy words like that. No. But I'm sure that is coming in the future. And if you think that this is an improvement, I think you're going to be very pleasantly surprised by what RED and Nikon have coming down the pipeline in the future. I don't know anything, but the vibe that I'm getting is they got some cool stuff they're working on. And regardless, it's still incredibly exciting to see this level of development between RED and Nikon in less than a year after their merger. I thought we as filmmakers would have to wait quite a while longer before we started seeing improvements and upgraded cameras, but nope, these two companies have moved fast and I am here for it. So please subscribe if you want to see more videos about filmmaking, and I'll try to keep you updated on exciting filmmaking news like this. And in addition, if you want help editing your videos, I would highly recommend checking out my Edit Videos Like a Pro guide. This guide is completely free and is going to walk you through some of the biggest tips that I have for you as a video editor, no matter the software that you use. You can download it down in the video description completely for free. Thanks so much for watching and have a great day.